YouTube and welcome to another video. Today we're talking about J-Tsoon or J-Tsoon that took place this past weekend on April 12th till 13th. As always, it took place in Tallinn at Kultuurikatel, but this time they also had an extra venue at the Energiaavastuskeskus, which I will talk about more later. So on Saturday I arrived just in time to catch the cosplay competition, and they actually started with the cosplay photo competition where they showed all the photos pretty quickly, maybe a little bit too quickly in my opinion, but you could see them downstairs in real life, so you would have time to look at them, and you could also vote for your favorite. Then it was time for the cosplay competition. This time they had divided the blocks by the competition categories, so this was the solo craftsmanship category. And they also had a group category, and each block was a different category, whereas in previous years they have sort of mixed solo and group performances and performances in different categories, and have just had sort of a bit random feeling blocks really. So I really enjoyed that they did this. I think it made sense. You could always argue that in this case people might not show up for some of the blocks, but the whole seemed to be full throughout the blocks. I didn't visit all of them to be fair, but the lack of audience really didn't seem to be a problem, and I think it's really cool when people get to pick and choose which parts they want to see. So overall I'm really happy with this. I also think our cosplay quality, the quality of our cosplayers is just amazing. There are so many great cosplayers, so the overall quality of the competition is really good and really strong, even though we have pretty long blocks. So really the cosplayers were great, the quality of cosplays was great. I will say that if you're in the audience and you're wearing cat ears or a really elaborate headpiece, if you can remove it while you're watching stuff from the audience, please do, because in both cases I had people in front of me with cat ears that made it really hard to see on the stage. So if it is possible to remove your headpiece, please do that, especially in this venue and venues where the floor doesn't have a tilt. So after the first block of cosplay we went to see the sales area, and of course I headed over to the Pandayama anime shop. If you've been watching my channel, you know that they sponsor us, and of course I was very happy to see them and their stuff, and this video is also sponsored by them. So if you didn't have a chance to check them out at the event, or if you did and you would like to buy any of this wonderful stuff you see here online as well, then go to pandayama.ee and you can use my creator code HAILDIA5 to get 5% off your next order. I'll write the code in the description below as well, so you can copy it from there as well. And thank you so much for Pandayama for sponsoring us. But of course, aside from Pandayama, there were loads of other cute shops as well. And of course I wanted to check all of them out. Now this year the layout was completely different from previous years. The large sellers and flea marketers were put in the areas where traditionally there have been artist alley people, and the artist alley people were put in the largest hall where they have usually had the biggest vendors. And I actually think that this layout makes a lot of sense. The large hall is way too large for there to be just a few large vendors, and usually they just leave the middle of the room completely empty and then it just feels empty. But it's actually perfect for the artist alley because you can put loads of little different seller booths there and there's still enough room for people to move, and I think that this was a great move. I also bought some stickers from the artists that you can see here, because obviously they had a lot of cute stuff from the fandoms I'm in, so you can see a little bit of my purchases here. I got a heart-shaped sticker of Hualian, Wangxian and Pingqiu. And they had both these really nice holographic designs and also these non-holographic ones. I will say that no matter how they lay out the artist alley and the big vendors, there are always some spaces that they're gonna use because they want to use the whole space and they need to use the whole space. There are always gonna be some spaces that are really dark. There are lighting issues, as you can see, which the vendors try to solve by having their own light. And there are also some places where people will naturally move to more and where there will be naturally more people, and some spaces that are a little bit more hidden away, so there won't be as many people and as a result as many customers there. And there will always be some of those sellers or some of those artists who are going to be unhappy with that. And unfortunately, I don't really think that there's a good way for them to fix that, because they want to use the entire building. And within that building, I believe they have actually done the best that they could. By the way, I love the accessories this seller has. It was kind of hard not to spend all my money there and not to buy anything. So as you may or may have not noticed, there were a lot more Finnish vendors and Finnish artists this year. And personally, I think that's really great to see. Afterwards, I had time to listen to a few songs from this really talented Lithuanian artist and band. I think it's pronounced Korniha band, but they are really talented musicians, and I will link their YouTube channel down below so that you can listen to them. And don't worry, they have more of an audience. Estonians just don't like sitting in the front row. But they could have had even more of an audience, I feel. There was also a Baldur's Gate themed sort of photo op exhibit, a setup which was really cool and really detailed, but Kultuurikatel as a venue has huge lighting issues. It's really dark everywhere. I think they did set this one up really nicely with lots of extra lights, and it was possible to take nice photos there, especially if you had a nicer camera, and this was really cool. And it was time for the lecture of the history of Lolita fashion in Estonia, which was hosted by my friend and me, and I think it went really well. We had a large audience. Apparently, I heard from the organizers this was one of the larger audiences for the lectures, and I think it went well. I was very happy with it. I always love doing lectures with my friend. It takes some of the pressure off. And it was overall a good time. I just have some photos because obviously I couldn't film while I was talking. Then it was time to have another look around the artist alley, and there was also a karaoke room. Now, I'm not much of a karaoke person myself, but people do love karaoke at Estonian conventions, and I feel like at Finnish ones as well. So I feel like they honestly could have had this room or any room be a karaoke room for the entirety of the event. I guess they didn't have enough free space for it, but karaoke was very popular. The karaoke room was only a karaoke room for a few hours, and I feel like people would have definitely wanted to be there longer. Then there was the after party, but I didn't go, I went home. And that brings us to Sunday. I got there a little after 12, but I was still able to enjoy the entirety of the cosplay performance contest, which actually was supposed to start at 12, but I guess started a little bit later, which in this case worked out for me. Now, again, loads of wonderful cosplays. I particularly loved this Draculaura performance because I'm a huge Monster High fan. But I do want to address my one large criticism to the host of the cosplay competitions, who otherwise did a great job. Their favorite way of engaging with the audience is by making them scream and asking them to scream louder and louder. And the audience isn't super quiet to begin with. I think it's great to cheer for your favorite cosplayers, but it's only nice to a certain point, and if someone is just screaming at the top of their lungs constantly into your ear, okay, maybe I should have gotten earplugs because this has been a problem in previous years as well, but I really don't think it's necessary to hype up the audience so much and to encourage them to scream so loudly. And at one point, I'm no longer able to hear the contestants. I'm no longer able to hear the music they use, the dialogue that they have recorded. I'm just no longer able to enjoy the contest at all. Now, I didn't watch the whole block. I left early, and I wanted to leave early because I wanted to catch the next complex art of kimono wearing lecture, but also I don't think I could watch the entire competition anymore because of the screaming. By the way, this is in no way a criticism of the audience, as they were just doing what they were asked to do. The lecture about the complex art of wearing a kimono, however, was perfect. No notes. And yes, I do know the lecturer personally, but I really think that she spoke incredibly well, incredibly clearly, and she showed us on this mannequin how exactly she usually dresses herself in a kimono, how it's done. It was very fun, it was very interesting to look at, and I really enjoyed it. And I actually asked her if she'd like to talk at another convention where I'm the program manager that is also happening in Estonia this autumn. And I am actually taking this moment to share a little bit of information about this, mainly the date and the venue that you can see here. After the kimono lecture, I also listened to a lecture about visual K-pants and visual K-music, and that one was also very interesting. Afterwards, I had a quick snack and hydration break. Keeping hydrated at the con is very important. Sadly, all the free water points seem to be empty at this point, but they did exist, so that's very good. And kudos to the organizers for that. And maybe they filled them up later, I don't know. But the one I visited was definitely fully empty for a while. Afterwards, it was time for the cosplay masquerade. This is the one where up to 100 people can register in advance at the event, and you don't need to have a show or anything, you just run across the stage basically. I have done this at previous years and it is fun, but I know that there are always more people who would like to join, who can't join because they cap it at 100 people, so I decided not to join this year and just watch it instead. I was wearing my Wavisian cosplay and I have worn that one for the masquerade many times before, so it's fine. I also had my Moisang Tongsi meetup pretty much right after this and I didn't want to risk being late. So that brings us to our MXTX or Moisang Tongsi meetup. I had prizes for the Kahoots, this sticker from the Artist Alley, and also the main prizes were again provided by our sponsor Bandayama, who gave us these wonderful pins. So that was great. However, the organization from the con side really wasn't. I had sent them several emails about the Kahoots, and then I turned up at the meetup and they still didn't have my Kahoots and I couldn't edit it the way I had originally wanted. I was told that I had sent it to the wrong email, but the correct email had never been provided to me and wasn't available on the website. I'm sorry if I was a little too harsh on the volunteer. I really didn't mean to be, but I was really quite upset. I was very happy that so many people showed up and we did have a good time and it was great talking to everyone, and I am really grateful that the interest was again so great and there were so many people who showed up. So thank you so very much if you did, and I hope that you had a good time. And I think I will continue hosting these meets, but honestly there was a point where I did consider that hey, I'm not doing this anymore for this convention. So we will see. Then I hang around at the sales area a bit. I had seen this one cosplayer and I was looking at them and thinking they look exactly like the Lovik's transformation of Bloom. But Lovik's is such a niche transformation, so I was doubting myself, but I asked them and they were cosplaying the Lovik's version of Bloom. So I was super happy with that, and they were super happy that I recognized it. A great moment, a great time. Now I did mention at the beginning that they also had another venue, and this was apparently where the gaming zone was and where originally some of the vendors were. But because they didn't really communicate the fact that there was an extra venue a lot, I kind of forgot about it and didn't go because I also wasn't sure what's there in the extra venue at all. Apparently some of the sellers were actually moved from the extra venue back to the main venue because people just didn't go there at all and they had no customers. Overall, I did have a good time at the convention and I do recommend it if you're in Estonia or very nearby. There are some problems, but overall I am still glad that it's being hosted. And if you enjoy convention related content, then I do it quite regularly. So make sure to subscribe and I'll see you in another video.